The night was supposed to be magical, a celebration of love and togetherness at an elegant gala in the heart of the city. For Ethan, it was an opportunity to reconnect with his wife Olivia amidst the laughter and music that filled the air. But what began as a night of promise would unravel a devastating truth, one that would forever change their lives. As the evening unfolded, Ethan couldn't help but notice a subtle yet piercing shift in Olivia's behavior. The first crack in the illusion came when, to his dismay, Olivia chose to dance with someone else. A colleague she had grown increasingly close to. Ethan had tried to suppress the growing unease inside him, the nagging feeling that something wasn't right. Their marriage, once the envy of their social circle, now seemed fragile under the weight of unspoken doubts. Ethan and Olivia's life together had always appeared flawless. Ethan, a successful entrepreneur at 36, had built a comfortable life through years of hard work. Olivia, 34, radiated sophistication and charm, effortlessly capturing the attention of everyone she met. Their marriage seemed like a fairy tale, lavish vacations, a beautiful home, and a circle of friends that appeared unbreakable. But behind the picture-perfect facade, Ethan had begun to notice signs of a growing distance between them. Olivia, once so present in their conversations, now seemed more absorbed in her social life, prioritizing parties and networking over quiet nights at home with him. Ethan struggled with the creeping sense of alienation. His attempts to be supportive, convincing himself that Olivia's outgoing nature was simply a phase, did little to ease his growing anxiety. The late-night texts she no longer explained, the vague responses to his questions, and her constant need to check her phone all pointed to something he couldn't ignore. Yet still, he silenced his doubts, unsure if he was just being paranoid. The gala, a glamorous event hosted by one of Olivia's colleagues, was supposed to be a chance for them to reconnect. Olivia had insisted that Ethan join her, claiming it was important for him to meet her friends. Ethan, eager to restore the intimacy they had once shared, welcomed the opportunity. Olivia, as always, was thrilled about the evening, spending days planning her outfit. Ethan thought it was simply her usual flair for style, though part of him felt something more was at play. Little did he know, the night would reveal a betrayal that would shatter his trust and their marriage. As they arrived at the event, Ethan couldn't help but feel a surge of pride as Olivia walked by his side. Her beauty turned heads, and for a brief moment, he allowed himself to believe in the life they had built. Olivia, glowing in a sleek black gown, radiated elegance as she mingled with their friends. But the fantasy quickly began to unravel. Ethan watched, unable to shake the growing suspicion, as Olivia's attention shifted towards Ryan, a tall, charismatic colleague who seemed to command her every glance and laugh. At first, Ethan tried to convince himself that it was nothing, just professional camaraderie. But the way Olivia leaned in, the sparkle in her eyes when Ryan spoke, was something more. It was a familiarity of someone who had become far more than just a colleague. It was a closeness that Ethan hadn't felt from her in a long time. In that moment, something inside him broke. This wasn't the woman he had married. The woman he had known and loved was now slipping away, caught in the allure of someone else. The cracks in their marriage had been there for a while, but tonight they were laid bare. Olivia was no longer his, not in the way he had hoped. The evening he had imagined would be a rekindling of their love had become the moment he realized he had lost her. Ethan knew that once the truth came to light, nothing would ever be the same. The painful discovery of Olivia's betrayal would forever alter their relationship, leaving him to grapple with heartbreak, betrayal, and the resolution that followed. The night that was meant to celebrate love and togetherness had instead become a harsh reminder that even the most picture-perfect relationships can crumble under the weight of unspoken truths. Ethan's mind raced as an unsettled feeling gnawed at his chest. "I'm overthinking this," he told himself, trying to shake off the growing sense of dread. But as the evening wore on, his suspicions only deepened. Olivia, who had always been the center of his world, seemed more absorbed in the party than in him. When he had asked her to introduce him to her friends, she had waved him off with the casual, "I'll do it later," left standing alone at the edge of the room, nursing his drink. Ethan observed Olivia from a distance. Ryan wasn't just a colleague, he was someone Olivia clearly admired. Ethan couldn't help but notice how they gravitated toward each other. As the night went on, their interactions became more frequent, more intimate. Every shared laugh, every stolen glance between them felt like a silent accusation, a slap in the face. Ethan tried to reason with himself, convincing himself it was just paranoia, but the sinking feeling in his chest only grew stronger. What had begun as a night of celebration had turned into something much darker, an uncomfortable stage on which his suspicions were solidifying into undeniable truths. As the live band struck up a slow romantic tune, inviting couples to the dance floor, Ethan saw a sliver of hope. Maybe, just maybe, this would be the moment to salvage the night, to remind Olivia of the bond they once shared. With a hopeful smile, he approached her, extending his hand. "Care to dance?" he asked, his voice earnest, filled with a longing he couldn't hide. Olivia hesitated, her eyes darting around the room before she offered him a weak smile. "Oh, Ethan, I'm exhausted. Maybe later," she said, brushing him off as she made her way toward the bar. Ethan stood there, a wave of disappointment washing over him. He tried to tell himself it was nothing, that he was imagining the growing distance between them. But a moment later, the truth was staring him in the face. Across the dance floor, Olivia wasn't at the bar as she'd claimed. She was in Ryan's arms, swaying effortlessly to the music, her head tilted back in laughter, her eyes sparkling as Ryan leaned in to whisper something in her ear. The intimacy between them was unmistakable. It was clear to anyone watching that they shared something far deeper than a casual friendship. Ethan's chest tightened, the flood of emotions threatening to overwhelm him. Was this what had been happening all along? The late nights, the secrecy, the growing coldness at home. Had it all led to this moment? His emotions swung wildly between anger, sadness, and a strange sense of relief. At least now he had clarity. But Ethan wasn't one to create a scene. Instead of storming over to confront them, he stood silently, taking in every painful detail. The way Olivia's hand rested on Ryan's shoulder, the way her gaze lingered on him like he was the only person in the room. It was too much to bear. His resolve hardened. If Olivia wanted to make her choice public, then so would he. The evening, once filled with laughter and conversation, took a sharp turn as Ethan made his way to the stage. The host had just announced the closing toast, and Ethan seized the moment. Taking the microphone, he cleared his throat, his voice calm and steady, a stark contrast to the storm raging inside him. "Good evening, everyone," he began, his tone even. "Thank you all for being here tonight. I'd like to propose a toast to truth, because truth has a funny way of revealing itself when you least expect it." The crowd quieted, their attention drawn to Ethan's unexpected speech. Olivia, who had been standing near the dance floor, froze, her face draining of color as her eyes locked with his. "Tonight, I learned something valuable," Ethan continued, his voice unwavering. "It's heartbreaking to realize that the person you devoted your life to has chosen someone else." His gaze shifted to Olivia. "Olivia, thank you for making it clear who you truly are." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Olivia's expression morphed from shock to horror. Ryan stepped forward as if to intervene, but Ethan ignored him, his eyes fixed on Olivia. He set the microphone down and walked off the stage, the silence in the room almost deafening, broken only by hush murmurs and whispers. Ethan didn't look back. He walked out of the venue, his heart heavy but his mind resolute. The crisp night air hit him like a cold slap, a sharp contrast to the stifling atmosphere of betrayal inside. Driving home in silence, his mind replayed the evening's events. The pain was raw, but beneath the heartbreak there was a strange sense of liberation. For the first time in months, he felt free from the doubts, the suspicion, and the constant questioning. The next day, Ethan confronted Olivia in private. She was tearful, pleading for forgiveness, offering excuses that did nothing to repair the damage. But the truth had already settled in Ethan's heart. Her actions had shattered his trust beyond repair. "I'm sorry," Olivia cried, her tears flowing freely. "I never meant to hurt you." But Ethan couldn't hear her anymore. The trust between them was gone, and there was no way to rebuild it. He filed for divorce, determined to move forward with his life, no longer bound by the shackles of betrayal. With the support of his friends and family, Ethan poured himself into his work, focusing on growing his business and rediscovering his passions. Slowly, he began to heal. Looking back, Ethan realized that the night at the party had been more than just the end of his marriage. It had been the beginning of something new. It was a journey toward self-respect, toward a future where he would finally put himself first. He deserved honesty, loyalty, and love, things Olivia had failed to give him. That night, when Olivia chose someone else, wasn't just a chapter of heartbreak. It was the start of a new story, one where Ethan would take back his life and embrace the future he deserved.